Hey guys, it's Unit56679 here, and MLGChromaGaming's first game talk. I'm going to talk about the comparison between Halo and Destiny. I decided to do this as Bungie created both franchises, and I wanted to show out the main differences between the two franchises, and show how Bungie's technique of creating their games have drastically changed. Since Halo is a 15-year-old franchise, I'm only going to compare Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 with Destiny, as they seem more appropriate games to compare as both Halos have been made in the early years of the franchise. So, about the events leading up to both the game's launches. For Halo, Bungie originally planned Combat Evolved to be a different genre, a role-playing game, but was later changed to be a third-person shooter, and eventually the FPS we all know and love today. Bungie has originally announced the game coming out to PC and Macintosh, but Microsoft bought the games and all right for it, so Combat Evolved came out on both Windows and Xbox. Destiny Evolved is a different story. After Halo Reach, Bungie left the franchise to Microsoft and 343 Industries. Bungie wanted to create something entirely different, and thus Destiny came under development. After working for about 4 years, Bungie released Destiny on the Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation 4. In my opinion, Destiny was overhyped and was widely anticipated, and this led to Destiny not meeting consumer wants as the consumer expectations were high. Now, for the general gameplay and gunplay and the way the game is presented, Halo Combat Evolved changed the first-person shooter genre, as Bungie had presented the game in a way that made it perfect. The gunplay of Combat Evolved is amazing. The way the weapons were balanced in damage, and the different abilities of human weapons and their Covenant counterparts made each gun unique. The weapons were balanced in a way that the weapons don't do the exact same damage as the same fire rate, but the weapons' abilities was really presented in a beautiful way. In a way, you could overcharge the plasma pistol or use the homing needle rounds, and the famous Combat Evolved Magnum made Combat Evolved unique from all other games. In Halo 2, the battle rifle and carbine were introduced, making the general gameplay more exciting. The beam rifle was also presented in a unique way, as being a sniper rifle that can overheat. In Destiny, although, many guns picked up during the player versus everything session seem to be reskins of other guns. The scout rifles seem to be the same gun to me, as there were no unique features. In Halo, the difference between the Magnum and Plasma Pistol is that the Magnum fires normal pistol rounds at high damage, while the Plasma Pistol can be overcharged to do extra damage. This way, the guns do not seem like complete reskins of each other. Another thing about Halo that I like is how the human weapons use projectile damage, which can be used to kill a person without shields really quickly, while plasma weapons take out the shields at a faster rate than a projectile ones. So using combo of plasma for shields and projectile for the body, you can dispatch a person quicker. In Destiny, I cannot tell which guns complement each other and which combo to use. I also think that the primary, secondary, and heavy weapon slot system wasn't fluid to me. Although seeming like a great idea, Bungie failed to make the weapons complement each other like in Halo. Another thing that Destiny's loot system, although a great idea, didn't deliver for me. Destiny seemed almost like a constant grind for me to get better weapons and armor. It took forever playing the same missions and strikes to get the good gear. The only exception are the raid, which brings different gameplay in raid gear. Another thing about Destiny is that the exotics are too easy to get, and the bounties should be more challenging, and it should be harder to upgrade the gear. Overall, Destiny still gives a fun experience if you don't mind about the rare drops for getting better gear and the constant grinding. For the storyline, Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 have an amazing campaign that is fun to play, and even more entertaining to beat the missions on Lasso or doing the legendary speedruns. Destiny has a lot more smaller missions, and it's still fun to speedrun them. The strikes are different, but the downside is that most of the strikes have the hold your position and kill 3 waves and your ghost is finished. That part is basically just, your ghost has to deactivate something, and you stay and kill 3 waves of enemies, and once you defeat the 3rd wave, the ghost is finished, which doesn't make any sense. Also, the strike bosses are just supersized enemies, and bosses aren't unique, and most of them are just bullet sponges. Despite the bosses being supersized enemies, they are still fun to fight against, but the fights get bland as you keep on grinding and grinding. Destiny's storyline seems to be very weak and inconsistent during the course of the game. The beginning of the game seems to start off with a bang as you wake up in the Cosmodrome and try to steal a ship, but later on, the storyline is just not there. Revisiting the same areas and fighting the same waves of enemies each mission is just further numbs the storyline. I'm not saying that Destiny was a colossal failure, I'm just saying that the developers missed so much opportunities to improve the game, and Destiny felt like it was rushed. It seemed unreal as Bungie worked on this game for more than 3 years, yet the game still feels like it's lacking a real story. The raids, however, are completely different. The features of the raid are completely unique. The Gorgon maze and the relic fight with the Gatekeeper and the Vaulted Glass give Destiny some replay value, and the raids are one of the few reasons I still play Destiny. The diversity of Destiny's campaign is lacking, as also the mechanics are very similar in each mission. The 3-wave holdout is the most recurrent one, and Halo's campaign has huge diversity. In the Command Evolved mission, 2 betrayals, you can steal a Banshee and blow up the Covenant or Flood, or take a Ghost and speed through all the epic fights. Grabbing the Warthog in the last mission and racing against the clock is one of the most unique Halo experiences to me. Destiny doesn't have that diversity and excitement, as most of the time it's just grinding. Another comparison could be the enemies. Destiny has a lot more enemies to fight than Halo, but in Halo you can easily tell apart each enemy and their class and how strong they are. But in Destiny, you have to look at the enemy, if it's a red bar or a yellow bar, and look at the name to tell what each enemy is. The multiplayer for both franchises, in my opinion, are both awesome experiences. Halo's multiplayer was unique from other games. The weapon and map controls are crucial to win the match, and the objectives give a competitive spin to the multiplayer. Destiny has a unique multiplayer, player versus player wise. You cannot play well in the Crucible without leveling up in player versus everything. This method was a great decision to make, so players cannot instantly jump into PvP without playing and leveling up in PvE. The Crucible also seems balanced in a way that every player has an equal chance of winning, except for the Iron Banner. This, in my opinion, was not a wise decision, as a level 12 player facing a level 32 player could win or lose as an equal chance. I don't like this, as it is ruining the concept of leveling up for better gear. Also, with how there is not much difficulty leveling up in PvE, the Crucible should have implemented with a universal rule that higher level players have an advantage. The Iron Banner Justice is an arena counterpart of the basic Crucible, where higher level players dominate the map. Also, what I find missing in the game is the skill ranking. This can be used to even out teams, so the skill for players for each team is relatively similar. Halo 2 didn't have a skill ranking system, but it was very simple. But yet, this prevented a starting player from being matched up with a dedicated veterans. And Destiny does not address this, and I usually end up matched against either starting players who are new to the game, and the mechanics, or the veterans of the game who easily win the match. Nonetheless, without the skill gap issue, the multiplayer is still fun. But Destiny's Crucible is lacking compared to Halo's multiplayer, where there are a diverse number of game modes and a more abundance of vehicles than Destiny, which only has the Piking Interceptor. There are many differences between the two games, and I know that Destiny could have done better, but one thing that defends Destiny is that it is a first of its genre, the shared world shooter. As of now, Halo is clearly the winner because Destiny is just a new beginning, and I hope Bungie learns from their mistakes and the next game will fix everything that was flawed in the first game. And in Destiny 2, it may become a masterpiece, which is a worthy competitor to Halo. But in the present, Destiny does not deserve to be called such a worthy rival to Halo. Because a majority of the player base has left Destiny, and Destiny has yet to be perfected. Hopefully in the future we will see Destiny to become a franchise we will treasure, just as Halo is. Thank you for watching the channel's first game talk, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe. This is Unit 5 signing out.